So these are the notes for 6.2 properties of a parallelogram. Now we talked about these a lot yesterday when we did our exploration, and then for homework you talked about the proof of why these actually happen. And hopefully you looked at the link in Canvas and checked your proofs and kind of understand why these certain properties are true. You can see we listed all of them. Opposite sides of a parallelogram are congruent, opposite angles of a parallelogram are congruent, and the diagonals of a parallelogram bisect each other. That's in addition to the definition of a parallelogram, which says that the opposite sides are parallel. So we kind of know four things. This last one here, it kind of works with this idea. If three or more parallel lines cut off congruent segments on one transversal, then they cut off congruent segments on every transversal. So what they're saying is, if I tell you, okay, here these three lines are parallel, and I say this segment on this transversal is congruent to this segment on this transversal, and I tell you that, then you can conclude, if I draw another transversal through these three lines, then this segment here will be congruent to this segment here. So they're not congruent across like that. It's just saying, listen, these parallel lines broke these into two equal segments, this transversal into two equal segments between them. And what they're saying is then it would follow that it would do that for every transversal. So this segment and this segment are congruent. So now we're going to try to apply some of the properties of a parallelogram. If you would like, you can push pause. I always start on the empty screen. If you would like to try it yourself and then check your answers at the end, if you're not feeling confident enough to do that yet, then you are going to, you can listen to me explain them in just a minute. So if you want to push pause now. All right, over here. It's a parallelogram. They told me that. So I marked the sides parallel because I know that that's true. So use parallelogram KMOQ to find angle O. All right. Well, there's a couple things. I know the opposite angles, are congruent. Not really helping me find angle O. Angle O is over here. And we'd actually talked about this from the previous section. Angle Q and angle O are same side interior angles, with this red line is the transversal and these lines being parallel. Since they're same side interior angles with parallel lines, we know that they're supplementary. So to find angle O, I just did 180 minus 35. In the next problem, I was asked to find X and then find the measure of angle A. So these are opposite angles in a parallelogram. It told me that right here. So I know that they're equal. So I set them equal to each other. I solved the equation and got that X equals 60. So then I plugged in 60 for angle B and found that that was 75. But that's not what they asked me for. They asked me for angle A. So now that I know this is 75, I know angle A and angle B are same side interior angles. So they're with parallel lines. They must be supplementary. So to find angle A, I did 180 minus the 75 degrees I found for angle B. And angle A is 105. All right, in the next one, similar idea. We're told they're all parallelograms, and we have to find different information. So if you would like to maybe try these ones on your own, push pause now, and try it on your own. All right, the answers are here. In this one, same idea as before. I set the opposite angles equal to each other because I know that's true in a parallelogram. And I solved. I got that y equals 11. I plugged 11 in for y to find the measure of angle E, and then the angle G was equal to that. So you could have plugged it in. You would have got the same thing. To get angle H, I know angle G and angle H are same side interiors. So now that I know angle G is 70, I just did 180 minus 70 to find angle H, which was 110. And opposite angles are equal, so 110 for angle F as well. In the bottom problem, I know opposite sides are equal. So I set them equal to each other. I solved for X. And then I plugged in X for 3X minus 15 into the expression and found that QR was 39 and PS is an opposite side, so it is also 39. All right, in the problem here, again, these are diagonal lengths I gave you. I gave you the length of little segments of the diagonal. So you can go ahead and give these a try, or at least try to set them up. If you're not sure, you can come back and check. All right. So I set up the first equation where I had the two parts of the diagonal equal to each other because diagonals bisect each other. And then I set the other two parts equal. When I look at this, I have multiple variables. I have an x and a y and an x and a y. So you can't just solve. We're going to have to use some of that stuff you learned in Algebra 1 last year. We're going to need to use substitution or linear combination. I chose substitution. So here it says y equals x plus 1. So all I did is take this x plus 1 and substitute it in for y right here. I then solved that equation to find that x was 4, and then took the fact that x equals 4 and plugged it back in to find the value of y, and substituted those in to get the answers over here. So you may have gotten these but didn't know what to do next. Again, it's that linear combination or substitution. I chose to do substitution. In the bottom problem, same idea. I set the two parts of the diagonal equal to each other. Again, I chose substitution. It just seemed easier there. So I put the b plus 2, and I put that in for the a here. I substituted b plus 2 for a. I solved that. I got b was 14, and to get a, I just plugged my value of b, which I found to be 14, back in, and 14 plus 2 is 16. So my values are 14 and 16. All right, the last problem has to do with that last theorem. So again, I would encourage you to push pause, try it yourself, and then come back and check your answer. All right, well, these are three parallel lines. It told us that here. And I can see it cut this transversal into 3 equal parts. That means it must have cut this into 3 equal parts. So if this is 2.5, then this part is 2.5, and so is this one. E to H is 3 of those 2.5, so EH is 2.75. All right, and that concludes our notes for 6-2. So check Canvas for what you're supposed to do next.